saving one of those spots.
How are you? Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Over here.
How are you? You okay?
Something that I should.
You got four.
Slide down.
I prefer to be out here.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right.
Well, everybody, the Southern Advisory Board, May the 13th, 2025. And I'll call the meeting to order and ask Kim to call the roll, please.
Okay, Jimmy Granberry,
Here.
DeWitt Booth,
Here.
Dr. Doug Haney,
Here.
Beverly Johnson.
Here.
Duran Johnson,
Here.
Dr. Sherry Thomas. Here. And Charlie Burke.
Here.
I'd like to have a forum. Thank you, Kim. And opening remarks. Welcome to Dwight and Sherry. DeWitt. Oh, I wrote it down. I'm sorry, DeWitt and Sherry.
No problem.
Welcome to the UT Advisory Board, and we're glad y'all are with us today. And I'll be short with my remarks and turn it over to the Chancellor. And I think we all owe the Chancellor a debt of gratitude for her 3 years of service on this board and steering us through the merger and getting us to a point where it's nothing but good things moving forward for this university. And so we thank Linda for her service, and we wish her well in Knoxville, and make sure when she goes to the ball games that she doesn't call out anybody, any attention to herself, and just remain calm. We're in a different role, just wear a mask or something. Yeah. So, and I'll ask anybody in the room if they'd like to say anything for the record before we move on. Seeing nobody, thank you, Linda, and we'll turn it over to you for your remarks.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to take a little bit longer, even though this is about, I think it's important for us to just take a moment to reflect on what we've accomplished. Because oftentimes when you're in the midst of change, or you're in the midst of implementing things, it seems like it's a very daunting task. And it's not until we're able to step away and look at all that's been accomplished that we really can reflect not only what we've done, but how much energy, how much effort, and how much teamwork was involved in making it happen. Last fall at the Board of Trustees meeting, Randy Boyd talked a little bit about what we've done since we became UT Southern. And I'll go down the list. We've made some key leadership hires, and the folks around this room, including Evan Beach, because he was the interim when I came. The senior leadership around this room have been folks that we brought on the team, committed, dedicated, and I've said many times, when we hire senior administrators, we need thinkers, we need visionary folks, but we need doers too. We need people who can roll up their sleeves and get the job done. And we have a team that are good thinkers. They know strategy, they know student success, they know the academics. And Dr. Chandler's not here yet. He's with a chemistry candidate right now. But we've got people who care deeply, but also are not afraid of rolling up their sleeves and getting the job done. Since coming here, we've increased enrollment by 12%. That was the numbers last fall. And I'll talk a little bit about the upcoming fall. But anytime you increase over a 2-year period, that was over a 2-year period, enrollment by 12%. That's pretty significant. We've also increased new transfer students by 8.5%, and we had an all-time high in first-year retention of 77.2%, the second highest retention rate of any UT campus, second only to UTK. And so I think that's really significant. We had an overall retention rate of 79.5. That was an increase of 9% in 1 year. Hardly ever happens. And we had our first ever living learning community in nursing. That was wildly successful. We'll continue. Thank you very much for your visionary belief in doing that. I think our students will say that it's made a difference in terms of student success. We increased 6-year graduation rate by 6%. Remember, graduation rate is a lagging indicator. So everything that we're doing on first-year retention won't show up in our 4-year and 6-year graduation rate until 4 and 6 years from now. And so we always look at first-year retention as an indicator of what we can expect relative to graduation rate in the future. We had an all-time fundraising year last fiscal year. We raised, and as we reported at the board meeting, over $6.1 million, and that included a gift of 600 acres, which is going to be transformational for the campus as we think about some of our work in education and some of our STEM disciplines, as well as ag and natural resources. We increased endowments by over $1 million. We acquired 5 new properties. This was what was reported in the fall. We've actually acquired more since then, and doing that, that's not insignificant. We're landlocked, as you know, and so in order to be able to grow in the future, we need to be able to make strategic acquisitions that allow us to grow as a campus in a very purposeful way. And so our acquisitions will allow us to grow and keep everything contiguous, and that's important for our students. It's important for our campus community, but it's also important for the city of Pulaski as well. We did a lot of work. We did our athletic rebranding. We've launched a new spirit shop. We did a new campus website, a new athletic website. For any of you who have tried to stand up a website before, you know that is a heavy lift. We completed a UT Southern strategic plan with over 9,000 data points included. And I'm reminded of how significant that is. I know that Chattanooga just finished theirs, and they had about half that many data points. And so that's a tribute to the folks that worked on the strategic plan, because they were out there getting that input. We are about ready to complete the master plan. We've been a little bit delayed because of some of our acquisitions. We wanted to make sure that we were in a good place relative to the acquisitions before we made a master plan public. Safety and security, we received $4.2 million. The state gave the money to the system. We got $4.2 million of that for safety and security on campus. Nearly all of that will be finished by the end of, all of it will be finished by the end of June. And we got money from the system to do academic building renovations, residence hall renovations. We've also gotten money from the state to do academic building renovations. We're doing work in Colonial Hall. If you came in the back way, you'll see some of the work that's being done. Also, in total, $8 million in work on buildings on this campus, in refurbishing, remodeling, updating buildings. And that's really important, because we often look at building new buildings, but until we've taken care of what we have, it makes it difficult. Since fall, we have gotten $1.9 million in reoccurring dollars. This was something, and I want to make public an acknowledgement of our team, of the people that were supportive of that. That allows us to have money for operating, and you'll hear about our budget later, but we're also reserving $0.4 million of that to address salary compression. Also, we're hiring 8 new faculty members, all of whom will be hired at a higher salary than those that vacated the position. And that's largely due to, these were retirements of folks that had been at Martin Methodist a long time and had not gotten the same salary increases as maybe they might have if they had been with UT. So trying to right size everybody, and this was really an opportunity to do that. And a public acknowledgement of both Representative Doggett and Senator Hensley, who really were very supportive of us and really worked hard to make that happen. We hired a new chancellor, and you saw the announcement come out. Dr. Melinda Arnold will join us on July 1. She's very excited about doing that. We're meeting weekly. We're working on every decision now that's made I will work with her to make sure that that's a decision that are consistent with the direction she wants to go. And one of my responsibilities when I go back to the system is to make sure that the transition is seamless and that I continue to support her in her role and continue to support UT Southern so that we can continue the work that we've already done. We're still doing some strategic acquisitions in property, thanks to Evan Beach. He's already exceeded his target. I think you'll close up the fiscal year well over your goal of 2.5 million. We're on board with the THEC insurance funding, which will allow us to enter the funding formula. So that's significant, entering in a really good place. We just hired a registrar and a bursar. We are very, very pleased to announce that Rhonda Clenard is going to join us as the bursar, the new bursar. This is an area where she has lots of expertise, and she's excited to work directly with our students. And I can tell you, we are a students first campus. When we make hires, it's about hiring people who embrace that passion for contributing to student success and helping our students navigate the challenges that they face. And Rhonda, I am thrilled that she has accepted that position. It will allow her to be very student facing. And not only is she unmatched in her work ethic, she's unmatched in her passion for students and her commitment to student success. So we appreciate that. We've hired a director of safety and security, a director of human resources. This is all since fall, by the way. We now have a full-time director of facilities and operations, which is Jamie Hubb. He was wearing 2 hats for a long time. And so if you look at the green and you look at the campus, when I came, the green was brown. And if you look at it today, it looks like a golf course. It is beautiful out there. And that's important because as we're recruiting students, and I'm sorry I'm taking more time than you may have. But as we recruit students, we recruit faculty and staff, they're not going to think that we'll take care of them if we're not taking care of our property, of buildings, of our landscaping it. So it's really important as we're making hires. We are in the process of hiring a chair for the Trapp School of Nursing. We hired a chair for the School of Arts and Sciences, both retirements. And so that was a major check to get those in place. We're hiring 8 new faculty positions. And I think in the past, we've heard the narrative, it's hard to get faculty to come to Pulaski. I can say not so, myth busted. We have gotten so many high quality faculty members interviewing for our jobs that everybody said, gosh, I wish we could hire all 3, or I wish we could hire both of them. These are people that come with credentials that have been at national institutions and are coming here because they believe in what we're doing, they believe in the direction, and they want to be a part of something that's really magical. And that's what they're finding here. We've created a new financial aid network or framework in order to be able to support our student athletes, our students in terms of academic scholarships and being able to leverage the dollars we have. We've nearly completed our safety and security upgrades, and thanks to Kelly Mahalik, who works with Brian for leading that. She's been truly extraordinary, and it wouldn't have gotten done without her. We're getting ready to open a new office of campus safety and security, to relocate that to separate out our criminal justice house from safety and security. Not a good idea to have our students in the same place where we're working on safety and security. Our Office of Business and Finance and Audit, again, we're going to make some changes that will probably move soon up to the new Cheatham House that gives them a little more privacy, a little more room, and a chance to have a little bit more space for their job. The Office of the Bursar will move up here, giving them more space and a counter where students can come in and get the assistance that they need. We're working on replacing the windows for the student union. We've gotten life safety upgrades. We reimagined the library. We're getting ready to do our work on that. We have done things like clothes closets and other ways to serve students. We're working on an intranet so that our faculty and staff can have access to documents without being on a public-facing website. We have collaboration grants that have allowed our schools to work across school lines, but also with community. And the community partnership is really important. And we're very thankful for the city of Pulaski, who has been a partner in everything that we've done, and we couldn't be here without their support. We've launched a strategic enrollment plan. It will be the first for UT Southern, and probably the first formal one in a long time for the institution. That's very exciting. Dr. Chandler has led faculty handbook revisions, which is no easy task, and it was done in a period, which is amazing. We're working with UTK libraries to do a joint UT Southern, UTK joint library, so that it will allow our faculty and staff and students to have access to the same resources as our faculty, staff, and students in Knoxville. We recently became a Tree Campus USA. That comes with it some recognition, but also one of our goals is to have the whole campus become an arboretum. And we're doing that very intentionally. The arborist was on campus today working on the tree map, and that'll allow us to move forward. And then for fall, well, we just did commencement. Thanks for those that were a part of that. We had 220 students that graduated. I'm told that our all-time high is 222. Not saying I'm competitive, but I hated the fact that I was trying to get people to go out and get 3 more graduates because I wanted to get all-time high, but 220 is very impressive.
Durant shouldn't have been Southern Lakeport.
Well, freshman applications for fall are up 46%. 46% for fall, 47. When we hit our enrollment goal for fall, we're pretty close to being on track for 1,200 students. Maybe?
Yeah.
If we hit that goal,
1150.
when we hit that goal, we'll have increased enrollment by 47% since 2020. I don't think there's any other campus in the United States who has seen that kind of increase in enrollment. If there is, I'm unaware. I think that's really impressive. And just to let you know, how do we know that we're in a good place? We're up 30% in paid deposits for our residence halls for fall. That's a really good indicator. And so we have a lot to be proud of. But as anything that we do, it doesn't happen alone. I'm really grateful for the governor and the legislature for believing in UT Southern. This was a campus that filled a need for the state. And I wanted to make certain that what we do here delivers on that promise. And they've been very supportive, including Senator Hensley, Representative Doggett, who has helped us get that $1.9 million. The UT Board of Trustees, who had the vision of acquiring Martin Methodist and saying, this is a campus that could make a difference in the state if we were able to bring a 4-year public to Southern Middle Tennessee. For President Boyd for having that vision. I don't think there are many people who would take that on, but he likes big ideas, and for his trust in me and letting me come here and provide leadership. Appreciative for my system colleagues, one of whom is here today, because the system, and you heard him say, the system has been deeply committed to the success of this campus. Whether it's Kelly Mahalik, one of Brian's folks coming here and leading the safety and security effort, to having an auditor here on campus to help us with policies and procedures. David Miller has been instrumental in getting us money for resident halls. Everything that we've done, nearly everything, whether it's website development, whatever it is, the system has been behind us. So we are committed 100% to helping you be successful. To the advisory board, I appreciate your support and confidence in me. That means a lot. It lets us get things done in a way that is meaningful. And so I appreciate that you had confidence in me to do that. The city of Pulaski, who also had believed in this campus and wanted to be a part of that. I'm grateful to the senior leadership team who's here, many of whom are here today. I just sit back and let them do the great things that they do. Amazingly talented people who work hard and are deeply committed to the campus, to one another, to our faculty and staff, and to our students. Said today to a candidate that one of the most important things when we hire somebody in this campus is that they're committed not only to student success, but they're committed to the success of one another. Because on a small campus, it makes a difference everywhere, but on a small campus, it's even more important. And so thanks to the senior leadership team, you've made me a better leader. And so I appreciate everything that you've done as a senior leadership team. One specific call out, so I apologize, is Kim Harrison. This campus could not run without Kim Harrison. She's been a great friend, a colleague, just a great cheerleader. And I know that you work with her, you know Kim Harrison, but I keep asking her what's her husband going to say when I take her with me when I go back to the faculty and staff, and we have our representative to here. And I've said many times in public venues, I've worked nearly 40 years in higher education. I have never, ever worked with faculty and staff that is deeply committed to student success as the faculty and staff here. That's what makes this place magical. And our students are the best students ever. They're respectful, they're caring, they are appreciative of the opportunity to earn a four-year degree. Our students make this place what it is. And so when I go back, I'm thankful for all these folks, and it wouldn't have happened without you. And you're in a good place, and we've got great leadership to carry on. So, Mr. Chair, let me.
Wonderful. Can I have a copy? You did, I think one thing you left out that I guess was a carryover to Duran, and I can kind of speak to that, was how you navigated the endowment with our friends in Nashville. And I think that's a really important part because it affects the students, because we unlocked how many hundreds of thousands of dollars for scholarships that was, for 2 years, was tied up.
And so that was one of the challenging pieces.
Well, you handled it with grace and toughness, and they got the job done, because I know the lawyers you were negotiating with, and they were being very protective of what was in place, and that was a part of the transition. But the important thing is, you talk about students, it unlocked those dollars, and I know Duran, you felt very strongly about it in your, because you were a big part of the endowment. But that's important, because those scholarships are important to bring the high quality kids to this campus that might not be able to afford to come, but they get the dollars to come. Duran, would you like to?
Yeah, I want to just comment. I think I'll say what the obvious is. You've been a great springboard for the future of this university. The way you've carried things from the time that the change happened, and the leadership that you've had, the whole word is leadership. You have put in all the years of experience, you put it all in. I once said to you that I don't know how you did it all done. I'm glad to meet all 80. So many places, so many different times, doing so many different things. And, you couldn't be more appreciated by anybody at this table. I know that's a fact. And by the town, the leadership in this town. You put this center from a place that everybody wanted to save again. And we appreciate that.
Thanks. It's the team, so thanks.
They wouldn't happen without your leadership. It is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. You've springboarded again. You're leaving us with a lot of good people. We talked you into staying one extra year, and we would talk you into more. Good.
And she's not taking Kim. We need to read a motion on that. Lock the doors.
Be careful, I might take it away in the dark.
Sure. Anybody else?
Linda, it's impossible to overstate the importance of your leadership and your attitude and your energy that you brought to your job, and as well as your experience. And it's been a joy to know you personally and to see the gains that the UT Southern has made, and we can't appreciate you enough, and we wish you all the best as you go to East Tennessee.
Thank you.
Beverly, you like to operate, I remember seeing Beverly right when this was all sort of in the works and it wasn't necessarily public. And she said to me, if this is true, it's the greatest thing that will ever happen to the city of Pulaski. And I think it's proven out. If we get to 1,200, 1,250, 1,300, you'll see the impact on this community.
It already is. It's wonderful. I'm just sorry that Linda's leaving, but the best thing I heard today that she's still going to be involved. And so far, that's wonderful. Thank you. And yes, UT Southern is probably the best thing that's happened to Pulaski in my lifetime. Don't you agree with Durant?
Absolutely.
Well, the best is yet to come.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to the agenda, and I believe we have the approval of the budget. Who will be presenting?
Eric.
Eric, okay, Eric. Welcome.
And Eric came to us from the registry, which you're able to get folks that are seasoned administrators that are willing to come and do work on an interim basis. His first day, he rolled up his sleeves and really has transformed the finance and administration group in terms of the way that we were able to plan and prepare. He and Rhonda have been an amazing team. And so I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin, Chair Granberry. I do have a brief presentation just on the operating budget. So we'll go to that first. And then I'm glad to answer any questions on any of the materials that we're talking about.
Yes.
So much of this has already been said. We'll go on to the first slide. We are beginning our 5th year as a University of Tennessee campus. This is our 3rd year of the 2023-2028 5-year strategic plan. And I've listed the pillars of the plan. We are also, as Dr. Martin mentioned, will be seeking approval of our 10-year master plan with the Board of Trustees later in June. And we've completed our capital budget request with the system. And that is a 5-year plan beginning in fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 31. And the difference now in the plan is, since we do have a master plan that will receive approval by the trustees, we're hoping, we are now eligible for improvement projects. So not just maintenance of campus, but we're really propelling our campus to kind of the science and laboratory academic spaces that we need on campus. Also residence halls, and beginning with a combined facility that I think we have listed out for fiscal year 29. And so that really perpetuates this campus and really builds for the enrollment that we're talking about. Over to the next slide. So when I came here, I just wanted, I've worked at various institutions. I'm coming most directly from a large community college district that does budgeting on a 2-year plan. I've come from very smaller institutions, similar institutions, and really wanted us to really center our operating budget with everything else that's going on. I didn't want there to be any disconnects. Accreditors often look at that, why is your budget not reflective of your strategic plan or your master plan? So that was really important that we kind of put all those pieces together, that it's consistent with our strategic plan and it's consistent with our institutional values. Also the campus master plan and the capital requests that we put forward. I think we're in syncing those, and I think we're in really good alignment. we developed a very specific timeline and calendar. So we knew what our requirements were from the system, from the legislature, and really worked through. So we were hitting all of our milestones. And I really appreciate, I'm just going to say it again, Rhonda's help. Rhonda has been here since 1988, right, Rhonda? So at Martin Methodist, and so really understands institutionally UT Southern and the nuances of the budget as we move through. So really thankful for her abilities and her work on the timeline and calendar. We wanted to really increase our engagement with the whole community and be very transparent about that. We didn't want the budget to be decided by just the senior leadership team. So we really worked with budget managers. We also did, I think, engage the senior leadership team a little bit differently than in previous years. We had really more formal budget hearings where we would go through departments. We would actually start out really at the high level of what are the needs institutionally. And, you know, we had unlimited resources. What would we do? And then, you know, as we go through the process, obviously resources are limited, but we really wanted to start with those really, I think, uplifting conversations of really thinking about the totality of the institution and how with enrollment, how we need to grow and change. So we formalized those, as I mentioned, with the leadership team. We began to do review pricing. So when we say the maintenance fee, that is actually tuition. The comprehensive fee is the mandatory fee we charge undergraduates. We've taken a look at dining and housing, and I know that's kind of a continuation. We'll continue to look at these. So this is going to be a very continuing conversation, not just this coming budget year, but in future budget years of where we are with our pricing. We increased awareness, I think, across campus of resources. So we are putting together a unrestricted education and general budget, but we also have restricted dollars. We put together, you'll see a restricted budget also in the notes. And we wanted to make sure that our faculty and our staff were aware of what resources are available to them. In some cases, not every component has to be taken care of out of unrestricted E&G, which is where we have the most limited resources. We can use some of our restricted dollars and should use some of our restricted dollars for those needs. Next slide. The highlights, as Dr. Martin mentioned, the $1.9 million. This is not one-time money. This is recurring money that will add to our base. It supports our growing enrollment and performance. So we're very thankful for that. We projected growth in the budget. We've been a little conservative. We've projected 11% growth. That's fall to fall and also spring to spring. And we have another, you know, if our enrollment exceeds those projections, which it could, we have another shot at the budget. We have an opportunity between July and September to do a revised budget. So if our enrollments are better, if our tuition and our fee revenue is better, we will then go in and adjust the budget and then reallocate resources. So we'll take a second look during that time period. We've talked a little bit about the salary increase guidelines. The system and the support with the legislature supports a 2.6% pool of funds for increases. The state provides 55% of that in our state appropriation. We have to come up with the other 45%. So that's part of it. We will base those on merit, those changes and adjustments on merit and salary and market conditions and compression. And then on top of that, we don't have this on the slide, but the additional $400,000 will really bring us into parity where we need to be. Particularly as we hire more, we are hiring at higher rates. And so we need to make some adjustments on campus. We also need to right size ourselves relative to the other UT campuses. So we're working very hard on doing that. Again, you'll see that we have a tuition increase and a great fee increase. And that really is to keep up with increasing costs. Our inflationary costs have been particularly high. As you know, during the pandemic, those costs became much higher. We're seeing a little bit of inflation going down now, but we are concerned about that and really just have to kind of catch up. And so, unfortunately, we do have to increase those rates.
And you mean
Yes.
the other campuses, with the exception of UTK, all the other undergraduate campuses are also increasing, and we're increasing at the same rate.
Yeah.
So that not one campus is more or less than the other campuses.
Yeah, it is important with President Boyd that we all do that. So we're all increasing undergraduate tuition. For us, that's the only tuition rate we charge, a 3% increase. So on to the next slide. So this is our proposed budget. On the left-hand side is the current year for fiscal 25. That's our most up-to-date budget for this current year. And then you see the proposal for this upcoming year. So again, tuition and fees, that's because of the growth of the increase of 3%. The state appropriations are up 33%, and primarily because of that $1.9 million. We have a small amount that always appears in grants and contracts that, just for your knowledge, is the Pell Grant cost allowance that typically appears. We have some sales and service. That's primarily kind of our Martin Theater and services that we provide on campus. And the primary other sources is really the draw on the endowment income, the former Martin Methodist dollars is the bulk of that $335,000. So all told, our current E&G budget is now, for the first time, exceeding $20 million. This is how it kind of all breaks down by kind of functional area. These are the standard codes that colleges and universities use. It's kind of like the NACUBO, for any of you that know that national association. These are the standard of instruction, public service, all the way down to scholarships and fellowships. So this is our proposal. Coming forward, you can see kind of the big increase in instruction as you would expect as we expand. And we tried to go into the budget via the department, so obviously at a much lower level, more detailed level of really working through what each of these areas should be. And then, because we are still not quite yet self-sustaining, is we have this transfer in to make us kind of balance. And so we work through that as we kind of are growing and kind of morphing into a self-sustaining campus that we expect to be very shortly. That's our E&G unrestricted expenditure budget. And then this slide shows our auxiliary revenues. They are up. Auxiliary units for us are mostly housing and dining. They include our small bookstore, which is mostly online now, and then what we call the Nest, which is our spirit shop. And then the operating expenses associated with that on the right-hand side for this upcoming year. And then the non-mandatory transfers, I'll just speak about that briefly. This is in some ways kind of an accounting convention, because we, as part of our net assets, we have to show an ending fund balance of between 3% and 5% of expenditures and transfers. So in order for us to get to that, into that range, we show that transfer and then show on our net asset schedule, which is a requirement for the board, of what that ending balance will be. I think it ends up being like 156,000 round. So that's why you see that mandatory transfer there, or non-mandatory transfer. We'll go on to the next slide. These are just kind of the assumptions that we've used. As we mentioned, the undergrad maintenance fee, also known as tuition, that shows you the increase, and then the revenue associated with that increase is the 256,000. Graduate tuition. Graduate tuition is much lower than the other campuses. Not that there are peers, but we need to rethink our graduate tuition, and we'll probably continue to increase that higher than our undergraduate tuition rate. So that's showing a 5% increase in our proposed budget. Again, because it's such a small component, it's only showing an additional revenue of about $19,000. Obviously, that will be more as the graduate program increases in size here. The comprehensive fee, a 3.9% increase, and you see that additional revenue. And then 4% in all of our housing charges, regardless of whether that's a single room, a double room, or in our more traditional resident halls or in our apartments. That will be a 4% increase in all of those rates. And the same 4% increase or 4% increase in meal plans. And right now, they all are charged at the same rate, even though they have different options. That's those assumptions. And then this just brings us to the action item for the advisory board, which is kind of approving this proposal. So it moves forward to President Boyd, and then this will be distributed as part of public notice, and then finally be voted on by the full board on June 30th at their meeting at UT Chattanooga. So this is part of your packet. It shows the revenues so on the left-hand side of the revenues, which we've just gone through, the 20.481 million on unrestricted T&G funds, the auxiliary funds, and then our restricted budget is added to that. So in all, we have total, it should be, I think, the last page of the packet, I think. It is, yeah, it's the final page of the packet.
Okay, y'all heard the recommendation, and I'll entertain a motion for approval and
I'll make a motion for approval.
second.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? I had one question on the capital expenditure plan. You spoke mostly the dormitories and a lot of focus on that. That's important. Anything in the athletic side in the capital plan moving forward?
Yes, it's a little further out, but kind of renovations to Curry. There's even some proposal in the master plan for kind of a secondary facility. So that's a little bit pushed out a little bit further in the planning.
I think for our student athletes, one of the things, at least we discussed in the master plan, is to build a new gym for our athletics, our competitive athletics, and then use the existing Curry to serve our students, faculty, staff, community, and then allow both of those. Right now, the practice time is one of our most limiting factors for our students and our campus. They're practicing at 5 a.m. and late at night, which is not best for student success in terms of the time that they have to devote for academics. So that is a priority.
Don't take on my side.
No worry.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out we have made improvements to our East Campus as far as town right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a new baseball wall installed. It was the old one was rotten in disrepair, so we were installing it in place.
Worked hard, field services, and do you feel good about that?
Yeah, there's some improvement in lighting and things, some momentum.
Right, and that would be thanks to Brian for the safety and security fund from the state.
But the big lights were released from the city, weren't they, originally?
Originally.
Okay, we bought them.
We're square on them now.
Okay, good. Any other questions? I have a motion and a second. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Jimmy Granberry,
Approve.
DeWitt Booth,
Yes.
Dr. Doug Haney, Beverly Johnson,
Yes.
Duran Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Sherry Thomas. Yes. And Charlie Burke.
Yes.
We have a unanimous approval of the budget, and we appreciate all the hard work that's gone into this. I know that it's tough. You've been distributed the minutes, and I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes as distributed. So moved. Second?
Second.
Any corrections or questions? Seeing none, we will call the roll, please.
Jimmy Granberry,
Approved.
DeWitt Booth,
Yes.
Dr. Doug Haney,
All right.
Beverly Johnson,
Yes.
Duran Johnson,
Yes.
Dr. Sherry Thomas. Yes. Charlie Burke.
Yes.
That's approval, appreciate it. We're at the closing remarks, and I will defer to.
On time.
Yeah, you're on. Dr. Martin, or you to make closing.
Say thanks to all of you thanks for everything that you've done, your belief in yes. And I really truly believe the best is yet to come. So I will continue to support you since seven. And I hope that you continue to communicate with me because I think that we've got a bright future ahead.
And Evan has sent out and been in emails a reception in early June for Dr. Martin. I hope everybody can make it. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
For those of you who have not yet met Dr. Chandler, he's our provost. He spoke about the elevator. And so he's our provost, came from Austin Peay. And so he's the newest of our leadership.
Record.